Apple just released the $599 MacBook Neo, positioning it right next to the newly updated $1,099 M5 MacBook Air. The tech community is deeply divided. Half see an incredible bargain in a laptop running an iPhone processor with a locked 8 GB of RAM, while the other half are convinced it's a calculated trap. We are looking at a $500 price gap. That is the widest entry-level margin Apple has ever created. We are skipping the comparison to a $2,000 Pro model to audit exactly what Apple surgically removed to save you that $500. This really comes down to two buyers: the budget-constrained student who needs absolute reliability, and the value-conscious prosumer tempted to save some cash. The real cost of this bargain price is the long list of quality-of-life features you have to surrender to get it. The Neo uses the A18 Pro, a 6-core mobile chip. Compared to the 10-core M5 desktop chip, there's a massive difference in size. But the Neo has an advantage in single-core speeds, making app launching and browsing incredibly snappy. Because it relies on mobile silicon, it sips power, giving the Neo a 16-hour battery life. This chart shows the multi-core trade-off. When it comes to heavy rendering, batch exporting photos, or local AI workloads, the Neo is nearly 50% slower than the M5 Air. Then there is the absolute hardware ceiling. The Neo locks buyers into exactly 8 GB of unified RAM, with 0 upgrade options. RAM, or random access memory, is the short-term memory your computer uses to hold active data for quick access. 8 GB is plenty for light multitasking, like keeping web tabs open alongside a Word document. The breaking point is swap memory. When RAM fills up, the computer temporarily writes active data to your SSD storage. But the Neo's base SSD is speed-capped at 1.6 GB per second, making this swap process inherently sluggish. The real-world consequence is that heavy multitasking across multiple complex apps will cause noticeable latency and frustrating stuttering. The A18 Pro and 8 GB of RAM offer incredible burst speeds for casual use, but they instantly punish users who attempt to push beyond a lightweight, single-app workflow. Moving to the exterior, Apple remarkably retained a premium recycled aluminum chassis instead of cheap plastic. But here is the first major ergonomic casualty of that price cut: no keyboard backlight. This creates real frustration for the target demographic. Typing in dark classrooms, dim dorm rooms, or on night flights becomes highly tedious. The second tactile cut is the trackpad. Apple replaced the haptic Force Touch trackpad with an older, mechanical diving board trackpad. Force Touch uses magnets to simulate a physical click without the trackpad actually moving. This older mechanical trackpad requires heavy physical pressure at the bottom edge to register a click. The Air's trackpad, by contrast, clicks uniformly anywhere on its surface. Apple maintained the visual prestige of a Mac, but they hollowed out the premium tactile feel that you physically interact with hundreds of times a day. Let's examine the external connectivity. The Neo relies solely on 2 side-mounted USB-C ports. This diagram shows hidden asymmetrical speeds. One port operates at fast USB 3 speeds, while the second port is throttled to USB 2.0, capping out at 480 megabits per second. Because Apple removed dedicated MagSafe charging, your power cable must occupy one of these 2 ports. This creates an immediate bottleneck. If you plug power into the fast port, you cannot fast transfer data to an external drive simultaneously. Transitioning to the display brings a positive trade-off. Thicker, uniform bezels eliminate the webcam notch altogether. However, the screen itself takes a hit. The Neo uses a standard sRGB display, lacking the vibrant P3 wide color gamut of the Air. It also lacks True Tone, an ambient light sensor feature that automatically adjusts the screen's color temperature to match your environment. Casual viewers won't notice, but photographers will lose essential color accuracy for their creative work. The Neo's ports and screen are perfectly optimized for consuming content, but they actively create intense friction and frustrating bottlenecks for anyone trying to create or transfer large files professionally. The MacBook Neo is an exercise in extreme compromise. Apple protected macOS, build quality, and battery life by ruthlessly eliminating luxury features. This framework presents the final purchasing decision as a strict flow of logic. Ask yourself, is your budget strictly under $800? If yes, you are the strict Neo buyer. This category includes students, casual home users, and professionals needing a cheap, reliable travel laptop. If you only use a web browser and Office, spending $1,099 on the Air is a total waste. But look at the other path. Do you edit video, use heavy creative apps, or dual monitors? If so, you're the strict M5 Air buyer. For many people, the simple inability to live without a backlit keyboard is enough to justify walking away from the Neo. That $500 premium for the M5 Air is an investment, buying you the performance headroom and quality of life features required to remain frustration-free for the next 4 to 5 years. The MacBook Neo proves you can finally buy a cheap Mac without getting a bad computer, provided you are ruthlessly honest with yourself about what you actually do with it.